Ruth Borden. I'm the second oldest of 8 children.
8 children?
Yeah, I have it listed where Kenneth fall. I can't, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You know.
So you were the second oldest, or were you the oldest girl?
I supported my whole family. Kenneth and my other brother, Reginald, they lived with me for a while. You know, boys, I guess they grow up and they don't want to listen. So I probably was 20-something, you know, but you have your own house and your own children. So they asked him, I think they lived with my oldest sister for a while, not Kenneth, Reginald did. And it was just, we would go to the store on the weekends. You know, you make groceries on Fridays, Saturdays. And we had a specialty, cream cheese.
Cream cheese.
You know, the old time cream cheese. I don't know if you know about that.
No.
Yeah, it's the, like a little carton, and you have the cream cheese with the cream, milk in it. You shake it. If you could hit a milk, you know that's a fresh cream cheese.
Okay.
So that's what we would do. One specialty we had, I have not eaten cream cheese since his death. When I started the job, I didn't really intermingle with the people, but when I did, there's picnics and what have you, so I would bring him, you know.
What job did you start?
When I started the postal job.
Okay.
U.S. Postal
That's where you
Service.
were you working back then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I probably had just really started, because I started that job in '66. And it's like, he didn't really,
Kenneth?
yeah, Kenneth, I didn't really use him as a babysitter, but he would help me with the children, you know. I didn't require him to do too much because I had experience from childhood, you know, from birth with him. I don't know, I guess they just looked up to me and depended on me. I guess like I was the mother, I don't know.
Well, that typically happens. I'm the oldest, and
Yeah.
so that happened to me too.
Yeah.
So Kenneth had sickle cell anemia. What was that like?
Terrible. Because we would go, we lived Derby between Kellerette and Columbus, which was, let's see, maybe 3 blocks from the Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen was on Claiborne and Governor Nicholas. And we would walk to the Dairy Queen, but we would get maybe a block. We wouldn't even get 2 blocks, and we had to pick him up. So it was a lot you had to do for him. He was in the hospital for transfusions, but not much as not much as I seen my grandson and my brother Reginald have a child with sickle cell too. So I don't know, it must skip generations and come out whenever.
So it made it hard for him to get around.
He couldn't do like the other children did. He would try, you know, they tried to do what they could. He had chores. All of them had chores, you know. Matter of fact, everybody. You had to clean on Saturdays. He had good days and he had bad days, but the last I remember is he called me. He probably was by some friend of his, and he said he was having pain. So I says, okay, let me get my clothes on. But in the meantime, I think someone brought him to the house. And I brought him to the hospital. That was right before he had the surgery. He was in tremendous pain, because I don't understand about that too much, as old as I am now.
About sickle cell?
Yeah. Why the pain? Well, what they're saying, the blood sickles, and I guess it can't flow or whatever, and maybe it get in there and block something and cause the pain. So anyway, I hurried up, put my clothes on, brought him over to the hospital, but I mean, he stayed for hours in pain and I couldn't do nothing for him. And it was like, Ruth, you know, I can't help it. I can't help you. So I had to get information where my mother was because she had left to go to Baton Rouge. I can't even remember what she went to Baton Rouge for. So I told her she needed to get back right away because they don't want to touch my brother at all, just with me. I'm the sister. So he had the surgery, and
What type of surgery?
I can't even tell you. All I know, they cut him from down the chest, from the neck down to his stomach.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't know what they even did in there. You know, being the child, I didn't question nothing. He still wanted to come back by me after the surgery, but my mother told him no. So that's how he was able to get where he went. But it's a reason in everything.
Right.
You see, because my ex came to the house, and my mother told him, do not bring my brother down to the 9th ward. You know, my mama knew he couldn't catch the bus and what have you. So like anything else, my ex brought him down to the 9th ward, him and the 2 friends of his. And I don't know his intentions, but according to what I read in these books was getting on my nerves.
What do you mean?
It's so many lies coming out in the books that he was a firebomb or whatever they call it, with the Molotov cocktail. That was a lie. 2 ladies, that's why I wanted to try to put this online, to try to get those 2 ladies who was the witness, and the three boys was walking through the parking lot. I assume youngsters, they either went and got a bottle of wine or some beer, whatever, you know.
Right.
But
you didn't send them there.
No, because you see, I was at my house. In other words, they called me and told me, my mother told Charles not to bring him to the 9th ward. So they called and told me Charles brought him to the 9th ward. Well, I can't drive down there that time of night because I don't even know where to look. But I heard he went to my uncle's on Metropolitan Street. And from there, I guess they walked to the back, where area they call Stack or whatever, you know, that's the ballrooms and stuff. So maybe they brought a bottle of wine or whatever. And the lady said, and it couldn't have been wine because they said no glass was on the ground. I don't know what they was doing back there. So the lady said, the stillness in the night bring on changes. And that's when the police holler, halt. They were hiding in Nelly's grocery store. So when the police said halt, he stood up with his hands in the air because he knew he couldn't run. The other 2 boys ran, but I think they got shot too. And the police, he just, I guess, was gun happy, and he started shooting. And just shot him down like a dog, you know. And I don't know, you wonder what their thoughts was. What was his thoughts? Did he die instantly? You know, it's just terrible. But the kicking part about it, the policeman bragged. And I don't know why the Postal Service would hire, you know, a person, everybody knew my brother got shot by the police. And I'm sure whoever did the hiring knew this man was the one who did it. So how I knew, I hardly ever go through the back of the building, I always went through the front. And a lady who's deceased now, she's the one asked me if I had a brother to get killed by the police. And I said, yeah, how you know? And that's when she told me about this guy. See, I didn't even know the guy was working there. And that one particular time, I went through the back of the building because I wanted to see who he was. Good thing I'm not, you know, after taking another life, because I could have killed him right there in that boot.
Did you want to? Or were you feeling like you wanted to get revenge?
I didn't feel like revenge because I'm like, well, I haven't always been like this. But there was an elderly guy, and he told me one time, you catch much flies with honey. And I never forgot that. So I think that helped to change my demeanor in life, the type of person I was. No, I don't really believe in getting revenge, but I know karma is alive and well, and one thing I know for sure, if you get revenge, that's temporary. Once God do it, that's permanent. So that's what I believe in now, and that's what have been working for me. But I heard since he died a terrible death. I don't know what his sickness was. I don't even know his age, but that was told to me. He died a terrible death.
So when you spoke with your ex that drove your brother to the Ninth Ward, what did he tell you? Did he say why he did it? Did he say why they were going there?
No. To tell the truth, I never really spoke to him about it, now that you're bringing that up. I never spoke to Charles about why he brought Kenneth, not one time, and he's deceased. He died maybe about 2 to 3 years ago. I never ever asked him. I never discussed it with him. And yeah, that's strange you would ask that. Yeah, I never discussed it because maybe I put everything to the back of my mind after the funeral. Well, since his funeral, I have never been to a funeral since.
Since your brother's?
Yeah, it put me in a different state, and I don't go to wakes and funerals. So.
How did you find out that he was murdered?
My phone rang maybe about 2 or 3 o'clock that morning, and I could remember the phone ringing, but I couldn't get there to answer. And probably for daybreak, 6 o'clock or something, I looked at the phone to see who was calling, and that's when I probably called my mother. It probably was my mother's number. I can't even really remember that. And once I called, well, you know, I get dressed and I'm going out in the family or what have you. I really can't even tell you how I felt. All I know, that week, I lost 40 pounds. I lived off of Sprite and water. So, I don't know, I just took his death really hard, and maybe because we were like the parents, you know, to the children, the older people. But with me, it's like my family, I feel, I'm not gonna say they put too much responsibility on me. They know I was capable, so I had a lot of responsibility from 7 years old. Yeah, so.
What do you think happened to you and your family after Kenneth's death? How did it impact them? Or did anything change?
Oh, yes, it changed. Those other boys, they couldn't stay here. I'm trying to think.
No, Reginald said that he left.
Well, Reginald left and Junior left because I guess they hurt him. The police then killed their brother unjust. So there was a change because I don't know if it was more arguments or what, but we were a very close-knit family. Because I look at some families, how they were raised. We could never do that. It was never fighting. My daddy didn't allow that. We didn't have fights and arguments. They would pick at me, probably. Because from what I understand, when Kenneth got shot, he laid in the street for hours.
Yes.
This man from the Postal Service, he's deceased now, Boudreaux, he claimed he was the one went in the street to get Kenneth's body because I guess he was afraid the Panthers was gonna come. But Kenneth was not a Panther, you know.
Did you ever hear him talk about the Panthers?
Oh no, he wasn't no Panther.
Right.
His life, the way his life was, he didn't have the time. I mean, he's 21, he's just now really, I guess, able to get out in life. That's the way I'll put it. Because you're sick all the time and you know you can't do certain things because if I remember correctly, he was it might be something he took up, some kind of trade in the school. And then they had the trade school across from Culver over there on Louisa. So I think he told me something about automobile. Either he was going to the trade school or the man was teaching him. Now, they tell me he did errands. I don't even know when he had time to do errands, because the lady next door, well, by this time I'm working, so I'm not around the house like that. And the lady next door from my mother, he used to help her and, you know, clean up and stuff around her place. But
he was sickly, so he couldn't really do too much.
No, he couldn't do too much, but he did small errands because Jerome, I think it's Jerome Smith. How Jerome come to the funeral? Jerome brought the football team to the funeral, you know, for the you know, for his going away. Well, how Jerome got involved? Jerome said Kenneth used to help his wife, so Jerome would be not home, and I guess Kenneth would run errands, you know, go to the store or whatever. He could do that, you know, go to the store and get a plate of food or get whatever the people want at the grocery store. That's how Jerome became involved.
So tell me, what are some of the things, you said that you're sick of the lies in the book, you're sick of hearing the lies. What were you hearing after his
Well,
death?
people would just call and tell me a book came out and how some lady is listed as his mother, and the mother of Kenneth, 16. Kenneth was 21.
Right.
This last book with this lady put out, my daughter, I had her to go and look to see if she could see anything. She brought me some pages back.
So that woman that listed as his mother, that was not his mother?
No, she probably was the mother of that other boy, McCormick, I think.
Oh, who, you know the other boys that were shot?
I don't know their names.
Okay.
I didn't know his friends. Matter of fact, this is probably some friends he had just got. But I do remember that name, McCormick. Now, I can't remember if that was friends with my daddy. But, you know, sometimes children, you know, when your parents is friends with people, the children become friends.
So you said that a lady claimed he was 16. That proved to be false. What else? What other claims were there?
I think it was something about the fire bombing.
Yes. Where did that come from? The firebomb? No one knows.
Well, I think that's a lie they made up to compensate for what they did. See, they needed an excuse for the shooting. So what do? They say they was coming to firebomb the store, because I think at that time, that's what was going on. You know, people was firebombing different places with the Molotov cocktails.
So
three people, the police, and here there's three guys walking through the parking lot doing nothing. So the police had to be gun happy or whatever. And you took an innocent life. The person's standing up there with their hands in the air.
How was he able, how long ago had he had surgery before that, after that?
At the time he went down there, I think he might have been 3 days out the hospital, 3 to 4 days out the hospital.
It was only about a week ago that he had surgery.
Yeah, but he was only out the hospital about 3 or 4 days. He couldn't run.
Right.
He knew he couldn't run, so why would he try to run? He just stood up there. Well, when other boys heard it and knew it was the police, well, they ran. They could run. He wasn't healthy enough to run. You know, I mean, you lay it open. He could have still had his stitches or however they do that.
It takes a while, yeah.
And if he'd start running and that bust open, he could lose his life. I don't know what the surgery was. I don't, know the procedure or the name. That didn't interest me.
So was he found with a weapon? Was he found with anything?
No, he didn't have no weapons. Matter of fact, he didn't even have his driving license on him because he told me he had been robbed. Right before he went in the hospital, he told me somebody had robbed him because Charles gave him the money to bring to me. And he didn't even have his ID. So he don't have Kennedy. Where he gonna get weapons for? He wasn't that type of person. He wasn't that type of person. Matter of fact, if they did anything in the street, I don't know anything about it because I wasn't with them 24/7. But there wasn't that type of boys. I guess the way that we were raised, they at the age where they maybe trying to get out to see how your age group acts in the street. You know, I'm sure when they got out, you know, with the high school students, they learned a lot they didn't know. Or they learned a lot that people do, and maybe they thought they could do it. Because when I got my job, I learned so much. I used to come home every day and tell my mother, she said, what kind of people are you working with? So, you know, I'm sure they were trying to maybe get out and be, but far as guns, weapons, no,
So what do you want people to know about Kenneth?
All I want is justice for him, that he did not try to firebomb no store. He was just basically a good person. That's all I could say, what I know of, you know. I wasn't with him 24/7. So far as trying to firebomb or shoot somebody, no, not these kids the way we were raised with my daddy, you know. So if he learned anything or did anything, it was when he got in the street, because he didn't learn it from the house. Like I told you, we didn't, like children fight and do all kind of stuff. We better not do that. But, you know, of course, the children would try certain things, but by my daddy being so watchful over the children, he would always sneak up on one child doing something and they called a whipping. You know, just a good person. He wasn't augmentative. He did good deeds for people. Like I say, I didn't even know he was going around helping these different people.
Right.
So